So, can you start by just telling me a little bit about yourself?
So I'm a senior at Centennial High School. I do take a lot of dual credit in NMSU, so unlike the other interns, I'm actually here all morning, every morning. I compete in Science Olympiad, which come January, February is all consuming because it's 23 different science events. I usually compete in 5 of them, usually building events, which require a lot more time. Um, I like solving puzzles and reading in my free time, and when I come to NMSU in the fall, I'm going to major in computer science and go into cybersecurity.
So, how has this program helped you figure out your career plans?
So when I first got here, I was actually here for the prototype, which was last semester. It was just one semester, and they scheduled it differently. But I didn't know what I wanted to major in. I didn't know what college I wanted to go to, and I was kind of iffy on like what field I wanted to go into. Um, this program helped me figure out that I wanted to go to NMSU mainly because I just made so many connections with really good people. And so I knew that I was going to be able to get a job here, and I knew that I would have support if I needed it, and I already knew a lot of the professors. So that's really nice whenever you're first coming into college. And I decided to major in computer science partly because it's kind of, there are several fields I might want to go into, although cybersecurity is kind of my main focus, but I decided to major in computer science because it would cover all those fields should I change my mind. Plus, I went and talked to some of the people there, and they helped me figure out that if I do my schedule a certain way that I can graduate in 3 years. So there was that, and then I kind of went with cybersecurity just because I learned a little bit more about it and about some other fields, and that kind of turned me off some other fields, and it made me think, hey, this is cool because I don't want to just be working with programming. I want to be working with hardware and software.
So, you mentioned getting a bunch of connections here at NMSU. What kind of connections did you make?
So I was able to take dual credit classes with this. So now I know professors at both NMSU and the DACC campus, both DACC campuses, and I know my way around a lot better. So that was really nice because when I first got here, I was like, where am I going? Um, I was able to go around and interview a lot of people throughout the entire computer science department, and I'm also have been um, on the fence as to whether or not I want to also major in electrical engineering. So I was able to go and talk to some of the engineering people. Um, and then I've also been able to meet a lot of people here in ICT and that's created really good connections for if I want to get a job here whenever I graduate from high school, which I do. So now I know that there's a very high probability of me getting a job because I know a lot of people here, and I know some people who would be willing to like find the funds for me to get a job here.
Um, being in this program, what technologies have you learned that have helped you so far?
I've learned bits and pieces of everything, really. I've gotten to work with the Raspberry Pis a little bit. I've gotten to learn more about Excel, which I only ever really used for like science fair projects in like 6th grade. So that was a nice refresher course. Um, what else have we done? I got to learn more about networking, which I covered briefly in some of my classes, but that I really need to know in order to go into the field of cybersecurity. Recently, I started shadowing in our cybersecurity department, and they've taught me so much in just like the past week. I've learned all sorts of different like processes of how they do things. I've started taking apart computers. I started learning how to download hard drives without changing anything. Um, it's it's just been a lot of information in the past few days. I've learned a lot more about Linux and where to find more information about it and stuff like that.
So, what have you learned about stepping stone jobs?
So, because I did do the prototype program, I learned all about that last semester, and I only spent about a semester working on that, whereas you guys have kind of focused on it all school year. So when I did it, it was more a small thing, and we just kind of said, hey, this would be a good opportunity for me to get a job that would help me get the experience I need for later on. And so we learned a lot about how, even though a job may not necessarily be in the field you want, it's still a good stepping stone job because it helps you get experience, and then that way you can get into the field you want. Because like for cybersecurity, you need a lot of experience with like Linux and things like that. Sometimes people don't have that, and so they'll go and do another job where they have, like, say they have experience in programming. They could go get a job in programming and learn Linux through that job, and then be able to get a job in cybersecurity or something like that.
So what about, what have you learned about creating a professional network?
That's probably the part that has helped me the most here, because like I said, I've met a lot of people, and all that is really a network here, because now I know people all over campus who can help me with all sorts of different things, whether it's just editing a resume or giving me a letter of recommendation, helping me find a job, things like that. And it's just because I went around and I talked to these people, and now I know all these people, and it's my network.
Perfect. So last couple things. What advice would you give to students who are going to do this next year?
You have to be patient with the schedule is one big thing, because Excel and CI-TraM are kind of want to do different things, and so the schedule gets really complicated sometimes. I would say that even if you're like really shy, you definitely still want to go around and meet people, because I didn't like going up and meeting people. I was super shy, and I started going to all these interviews and things like that, and it really helped me open up, especially because when we first started doing the interviews, it was just me and one other intern, so they had to start doing them together at first, and that really helped because there was another person there in case I was like struggling. And so if you are really shy, you can definitely say, hey, me and my friend want to interview this one person. You can go interview them together, and then that way it's not just on you, and you'll kind of learn those skills together.